Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another episode of Double Take. Today we're going to talk about another two Warren Oates films. We're going to talk about Cocks and Witches. We've got Monte Hellman's Cockfighter from 1974, and we also have Race with the Devil from 1975, directed by Jack Starrett. Both wonderful films, and both wonderful but a different side of Warren Oates. Of course he's still super cool, but these are a little bit different. So we'll go straight to the Cockfighter from Monte Hellman. Monte Hellman made some really fascinating films, and he also made some terrible horror sequels. This stars Warren Oates, strangely enough. Robert Earl Jones is in the film. He's got a famous, or more famous, brother. Ed Begley Jr. is in the film. It was edited by Louis Teague, who went on to direct Alligator and other films. And strangely enough, it's about the world of cockfighting. Harry Dean Stanton is also in the film and gives a wonderful performance as Warren Oates in Nemesis, his arch cock nemesis. But I'll get this out of the way. Chickens die in this film. There's no way of getting around it. I believe it has got a Spanish Blu-ray, but the chances of it ever getting a UK Blu-ray are nil, without it being cut fairly heavily. Monte Hellman is not glorifying cockfighting. It is seen and shown to be brutal. There is Sam Peckinpah slow motion shots of the cocks fighting. And it's not meant in a exhilarating, exciting way. I mean, Warren Oates himself kills two cocks by a couple of fairly nasty methods. So if you don't like seeing chickens killed for real, this is probably going to upset you, because chickens do die in this film. Apart from that, it is a wonderful film. Warren Oates gives a voiceover for parts of the film, because he's playing a character called Frank, who's one of the experts in the cock game, and he has taken a vow of silence until he wins Cockfighter of the Year, because he tends to get drunk and shoot his mouth off, and that cost him his prized cock a couple of years ago, which Harry Dean Stanton ended up getting and winning Cockfighter of the Year with. So Warren Oates is silent throughout 90% of the film, apart from his narration. So that's a bit of a different performance by Warren Oates, because he's silent. Harry Dean Stanton's wonderful, as always. When we first see, or we first meet Warren Oates, they're in a competition together, and Warren Oates bets his caravan and his car, and loses, obviously, at the start, and ends up pretty much throwing his girlfriend in as part of the deal to Harry Dean Stanton. Because Warren Oates is only interested in the cock. And it's really the film is about him getting back on his feet. And then it's basically Karate Kid, but with cocks. But as you'll see in the film, they also put spurs on the ankles of the chickens, which leads to some fairly gruesome deaths. So again, this is a warning: if you're not into bloody cocks, then this is not the film for you. And it's just really quite a wonderful film. Ed Begley Jr. is in it, as I said, and he plays the son of a rich man who challenges Warren Oates' cock to a fight, but of course because he's rich, he like puts like grease on the floor to like upset the opponent's cock. And it's more disturbing when you learn that the cock that Ed Begley puts in and has been so victorious is actually his pet. And why, if you actually loved a cock, you would actually put a cock through that? Doesn't really make much sense. But again, Warren Oates and everybody in the film obviously sees these chickens as they're just there to make money. So yes, they feed them, yes, they train them, yes, they do this. We see some training, maybe not quite montages, but of running of the cocks. But they're only doing that so they become the best fighters. If they die, they don't care, it's just on to the next cock. There's a scene when they're planning to have a cockfight in a hotel room, and then somebody asks, well, what will we do with the dead cocks? And it's literally just, we'll just throw them in the bathtub. And at one point you do see a bathtub just full of dead cocks. As I said, if you're a chicken lover or a cock lover, then this isn't the film for you. Meanwhile, Warren Oates is trying to, there's a woman that he quite likes, but she's never seen him in the pit, the cockpit, if you will. But he somehow thinks once she sees him in the cockpit, that'll be the little piece that means that she'll end up marrying him, which strangely enough doesn't go especially well, but then in his mind it went well. So it has this kind of idea of that male psyche that doesn't really see anything wrong with battling two cocks to death. Now I looked at Wikipedia, and there's still a lot of countries where cockfighting is legal. The US actually only outlawed it completely in 2008, whereas other countries, it was like the 1800s and stuff like that. There are other countries that it still goes on and it's still legal. Or if cockfighting was kind of historical and part of the culture, then that's still okay. Even though it's still going on in the underground the same way dogfighting unfortunately goes on as well. So unfortunately it's not a film where you can go, yeah, but none of this happens now, thankfully, because I'm sure unfortunately it still goes on, and it certainly goes on all around the world. Unfortunately, it is banned in Britain, for example. Germany, it never really happened, so strangely enough Germany didn't have to ban it because it's never really happened in Germany. It wasn't really a thing. Obviously in Britain it went back to the 1500s and the 1700s, and the landed gentry loved a bit of cockfighting. I was surprised but then not surprised at how recent it was still legal in America. But allegedly it's illegal now. So it is almost a film that does feel Peckinpah-ish, about kind of masculinity in the kind of worst way. But it's a really interesting little film as long as you're not too squeamish about bleeding cocks. And as I said, Warren Oates actually kills a couple on camera in a couple of nasty ways. But it's a really good film despite that. Now on to the more famous one, Race with the Devil. Again, I think this is on kind of DVD, and I'm not sure it's on Blu-ray. This, again, it's a different kind of Warren Oates because he's playing a normal person, which is kind of crazy. So it's Peter Fonda and Warren Oates are, one runs a garage, or I think they kind of run a racing team for motorcycles. And them and their wives are going to go away for vacation. Loretta Swit from MASH is Warren Oates' wife. And I can't remember the actor who's Peter Fonda's wife, apologies. So they go in a Winnebago out into the brush. They're on their way to Colorado. And they happen to see a bonfire lit and some malfeasance chanting in robes and throwing something onto a fire, and unfortunately they're caught, or they're seen, and then the second half of the film becomes like a chase, basically Race with the Devil. This is directed by Jack Starrett, and I was shocked when I looked him up, because he is the deputy, the rather nasty deputy in First Blood, who beats John Rambo up and falls out of the helicopter and bangs his little head. But I had no idea Jack Starrett was Gabby Johnson, the gibberish talking frontiersman in Blazing Saddles from 1974, the year before Race with the Devil. I had absolutely no idea he was Gabby Johnson, which was pretty stunning. Jack Starrett, I'm assuming, was a biker because he was in lots of Hell's Angels films as an actor. He directed Cleopatra Jones. He directed Slaughter with Jim Brown. He directed Treachery and Greed on the Planet of the Apes from 1980, which I'd never even heard of. And he did like 2 or 3 typical macho tough guy films with William Smith, the gravelly voiced William Smith. I mean, I'm still stunned he's Gabby Johnson in Blazing Saddles, the frontier gibberish, and the deputy arsehole from First Blood. Pretty phenomenal. He actually plays a gas station attendant in the film. But as I said, it becomes a chase film, and it's absolutely wonderful. There's some great car chases. There's a 4-vehicle chase that's kind of wonderful. There's a nice kind of friendly race between Warren Oates and Peter Fonda on their motorbikes before things go sideways. But again, it's a film where animals don't do that well. I'm not sure, but possibly a couple of rattlesnakes didn't make it. But again, it is the 70s and animals weren't deemed to be that important as they are now. So there's some snake abuse, but there's no cock abuse. Again, as I said, it's a different kind of performance from Warren Oates. You know, when they go to the authorities, you know, and the authorities automatically go to the bit that they're talking about without being directed. Peter Fonda's a bit, you know, sketchy about that, whereas Warren Oates goes, well, they're from around here, so they'll know the area, and he is like playing a normal kind of person, which again is a little bit strange. And you can see him, he's actually nervous and not like super cool as he usually is. The women unfortunately don't get too much to do. They go to the library to look at books on witchcraft and such, as they're left a little note in their Winnebago. It is a 70s film, so it has a certain tone, it has a certain oppression to it. I mean, initially, you know, the police just assume, oh yeah, it's just hippies, because again, we're still in that hippie age that obviously we all know what happened at the end of Easy Rider, where, you know, it's hippies that are the problem, but that might not necessarily be the truth in the film. It's just absolutely tremendous. The sheriff is played by the ever popular and instantly recognisable person that I've forgotten his name. Is it G.J. Armstrong? A regular of Tough Guy films. It's just wonderful. I mean, it's not, even at 88 minutes, it's not quite as tight as it perhaps could have been. It maybe could have been 5 minutes shorter, but you're not that bothered about it, because again, you're spending time with Oates and Fonda A. But it's funny because 2 years later, Wes Craven would do Hills of Eyes, which is basically just this film, but with people that are slightly asymmetric. Yeah, so this is pretty much a prototype for quite a lot of films. People go out on holiday in the middle of nowhere, you know, find something and then get chased and picked off one by one. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Would it be as good without Peter Fonda and Warren Oates? Of course not. It's got a wonderful score. The score in the first half of the film when they're going out on holiday, because of their day jobs, it does feel very much like they don't get to go on holiday very often, so they're looking forward to this vacation to go skiing in Colorado. But then the music turns and becomes a lot more ominous. In the second half of the film, almost it's like jolly and happy in the first half. Yeah, again, it's a wonderful little film, and again, another slightly different Warren Oates. So thanks so much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen The Cockfighter or Race with the Devil, as two different versions of Warren Oates. Not quite the super cool Warren Oates that we're used to. And hopefully you'll join me again for more episodes of Double Take. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.